Today, I recreated 4 Ryan Trahan thumbnails in Gorilla Tag with each one getting harder and harder. And at the end of this video, I'm showing you guys 3 tips on how to make your thumbnails pop even more. So stay tuned for that. Anyways, let's start out with the easiest thumbnail, which is gonna be the first thumbnail of the Penny series.
And we're now in Blender, and the first thing I'm gonna do is add the grass. So I'm gonna press Shift A, add a mesh, which is gonna be the cube, scale it up a bit, then I'm gonna move it down. I'm gonna add the grass texture as well by pressing new and adding the image texture. And there we go, we now added the grass, but it doesn't really look like grass right now. And to fix that, we're gonna go to UV editing and size up the UV. So we're now done with the grass, and next thing I'm gonna do is position the character right. And after I'm done with this, now what I'm gonna do is go in camera view and position the camera. And once we're done with that, we're gonna position the character. So we're gonna go in post mode and just rotate the head a bit. We could also add a face expression to him. There we go. And I honestly think this is good for the Blender part. So let's move on to Photoshop. The first thing I'm gonna do is add the penny right here. I'm just gonna use this one right here and copy that into Photoshop. And I'm gonna scale it down a bit, position it right. I'm gonna get the penny a bit of shadow, then I'm gonna give it a bit of vibrance, and then I'm gonna add the text and scale it up a bit and rotate it slightly. Now I'm gonna add some stroke and shadows to it, and then we should be done. And there we go, here's the first thumbnail. So let's move on to thumbnail number 2, which is gonna be Ryan Trahan flying in the plane. And for this thumbnail, we actually have to do a bit of modeling, but I'm just gonna simplify it and not make it too advanced. I'm gonna press Shift A and then add a plane. Then I'm gonna go in X view and rotate this up. Then I'm gonna move it a bit forward, scale it up. Then I'm gonna cut out the window by pressing tab to go in edit mode. Then I'm gonna select the knife tool over here and just cut the holes like this. Once we're done cutting, we're gonna press enter. Then I'm gonna press P in selection, and then I'm just gonna hide this object. I'm just gonna move this a bit more to the right. And now what we could do is position the character. So we're gonna select the rig and press Control Tab to go in post mode. And now we're just gonna position it. I'm gonna rotate his body slightly, and then I'm gonna rotate his head as well and move the body a bit down. Now I'm gonna select his hand and move it up. Now I'm gonna go in camera view and rotate the hand. Now the positioning of the monkey is done. It looks pretty good. And now we're gonna paint the plane. So we're gonna start off by pressing tab and press A to select all the vertices. Then we're gonna press U and cube protection. Then we're gonna go in UV editing and then just move this up a bit. There we go. Then we're gonna make a new texture by pressing new over here, and then I'm just gonna name it plain and change the color to this kind of blue look. There we go. I'm gonna scale the textures down to 264 by 264 and press OK. Now I'm gonna click object mode up here and then select texture paint, and that's gonna allow us to draw on the texture. So now I'm gonna select this kind of purple color and paint around the edges like this. Then we're gonna draw these like little lines right here and make it straight just like that and just give it a bit more detail. And now we can add these dots all over the place. And I just finished the second row of dots, but I'm just gonna give them a bit of detail. And I'm also gonna extend the lines and dots over here. And now I'm gonna add the bottom layer of dots, and I'm also gonna add these big dots like right here. And I'm not done with the dots, but I feel like I can add a bit of detail. So that's exactly what I'm gonna do. So I'm gonna select the base color and make it a bit darker. Then I'm gonna put the strength down and just paint like this. And we're now pretty much done. But one last thing I have to do is add some kind of logo down here. And I think this is good for the Blender part. So let's go in Photoshop. And all I really need to do for this thumbnail is add like a plain background, just like in this thumbnail. And I feel like a background like this looks pretty good. So let's copy that and put that into Photoshop. And there we go, that looks pretty nice. And now all there's left to do is add the 1-star review. Now I'm gonna add a bit of vibrance, and then we should be done. And there we go, I think that looks pretty good. So let's move on to the next thumbnail. And this is the thumbnail I'm going to recreate, and it looks really sick. So the first thing I have to do is position my character over here, move him really close to the camera, put him a bit down, just rotate him. There we go. Now we have to position the character. We're gonna click the rig and press Control Tab. There we go. Now I'm gonna position the head, rotate it just like that. Now we have to position the hand. So I'm gonna move it up like that. There we go, something like that looks pretty good. Now we have to move this weird looking thing to move the arm, and there we go. Now I'm gonna position the fingers like that. Next thing I'm gonna do is add a blue light to it. So we're gonna press Shift A and add a light. Now what we're gonna do is change the color to this blue. I can add one to the head as well. And I'm now done with the hand, and I think I can add one to the head as well. So I'm gonna duplicate that one, move it to the head. There we go. And now all there's left to do for the Blender part is just add the VR headset. So I'm gonna go on Sketchfab, then I'm gonna search Quest 3. Okay, so I couldn't find anything on Sketchfab. We'll have to find it on Google. And I think this image right here will work perfectly. So I'm just gonna save that image and let's get in Photoshop. And we're now in Photoshop. The first thing I'm gonna do is add a black background. Then what I'm gonna do is shade that background. Put it nicely like that. Then I'm gonna pick this light blue color and just paint it around the edges like this. And once you're done with that, I'm gonna extrude it like this. And there we go, that looks pretty good. And now I'm gonna add some dust particles to the background. This one looks pretty good, so I'm gonna copy it into Photoshop. But I feel like there's a bit too much dust. So to fix that, I'm gonna select the eraser tool over here and just erase the parts I don't want. Something like that looks pretty good. Now we're gonna shade highlights to the character. We're gonna make a new layer. Press Ctrl-Alt-G to make a clipping mask. I'm gonna select the brush tool over here. Also gonna shade the arm like this. There we go. Now I'm gonna put the layer mode to screen because I feel like it looks way better for highlight. And now we're gonna add particles to the hand. And we're now done with the particles. Next thing we have to do is add the text. We're gonna press T, add the white text, type in real life. There we go. And the next thing we have to to do is add the VR headset. So I've got it right here, and now I just need to position it. And I think this positioning is good, but we have to fix the straps. I'm gonna mask them out just like this. Press Control X to delete them. There we go. And now I just have to fix this. And there we go. Now all I have to do is just shade the headset and add a bit of highlight. There we go. And now let's add a bit of vibrance. Here's the final thumbnail. So let's move on to the last thumbnail. And remember, at the end of this video, I'm showing you 3 tips on how to improve your thumbnails. So keep watching if you want to know how to do that. And this is the last thumbnail I'm going to recreate. And it's gonna be the hardest one yet. And the first thing we have to add is gonna be the grass. So I'm gonna press Shift A and add a cube. I'm gonna scale this cube down and position it down as well. I'm gonna scale it up even more. There we go. Now I'm gonna add the grass texture. I'm gonna make a new material, name it grass, and then I'm gonna add the grass texture. And again, it doesn't look like grass. So instead of having it unlinear, I'm gonna put it to closest. Just gonna make it more pixelated instead of blurry. Then I'm gonna go in UV editing, select all the faces, and press S to scale up. And it looks way more like grass now. Next thing we're gonna do is make the actual sewer part. So I'm gonna select the cube and then press tab. Then I'm gonna select the knife tool down here and just start cutting this thing. There we go. Then I'm gonna select all the lines right here. Then I'm gonna go in Y view and then press E to extrude them down. And now it's gonna look like we're actually in the ground. And I'm just gonna move the camera a bit closer. And now we're gonna position the character. So his body's gonna go down. His head is gonna be tilted like this. His hand is gonna be up here. And I'm just gonna move his arm now. And now I gotta move his other hand. And that right there looks pretty good. And now I'm gonna add the sewer. And I'm just gonna scale it down a bit and get the right position. There we go. For the background, I think I'm gonna go with the rock wall from Forest. So I'm gonna press Shift A and add a plane. Then I'm gonna go in X view and rotate it up. And now I'm gonna go in Y view and just scale this up. Then I'm gonna make a new texture, call it wall, and add the image for it. But it looks a bit weird right now. And to fix that, we're gonna have to go in UV editing. I'll press A, scale this down, and move it up here. There we go. But I feel that it blends a bit with the sewer cover. So I'm just gonna change the hue of the sewer cover. And let's see how it looks. And there we go. That looks really good. And it also looks like the one from the real thumbnail. I feel like I should change the position of the hand and make him have a shush position. And I feel like this is good for the blender part. So let's go in Photoshop. And the first thing I'm gonna do is mask out the character. There we go. It's all masked now. So I'm gonna take the burn tool over here and just start shading it like this. There we go. And I feel like the shading is pretty much done for the background. But now I also gotta shade the actual character. Just gonna start by shading out the shadows like this. Then I'm gonna shade the highlights over here. I feel like I could also add highlights to the sewer cover. So I'm just gonna go do that right now. And yeah, that looks way better. And now what I'm gonna do is to add this secret logo right there. And there we go. Here's the last thumbnail. And comment down below which thumbnail you think was the best. And as I promised, I'm gonna show you guys 3 tips on how to improve your thumbnails. And the first effect that I'm going to show you is called the glow effect. And to achieve this effect, you're gonna double click your layer and this little menu should pop up. Then you're gonna press auto glow. Now what you wanna do is put the opacity up to like around 70. Then you're gonna put your size up and put the range all the way up. And then you have a nice looking glow. And now for the second effect, it's actually shadows. On this thumbnail right here, I added shadows to the background because without it, it looked so weird. Without and with. And now I'm gonna show you guys how to achieve this effect. You're gonna double click your layer again and then you're gonna select drop shadow. And I just like doing random settings because I feel like it's gonna give you the best result. And now for the last effect, which is the most important one, it's gonna be vibrance. Let me show an example of what vibrance could do. This is without vibrance, but when you put vibrance on, it looks so much better. Now to achieve vibrance, you're gonna go to image, adjustments, and vibrance. And it should be right here.